Zone of the Enders 2, the second runner, might just have the best final boss fight sequence in any game, and I'm not just saying that because it's visually stunning and absolutely gorgeous. It's actually about proper contextualization and serial escalation of power within the hands of the player. Here's an early example. You start the game in this clunky, unwieldy mining robot on some backwater moon of Mars. Very quickly you'll get your hands on your main mech for the game, Jehuti, and you'll fight through the enemies that you encounter initially with a great amount of ease. But in short order, the game makes it clear that you are not top dog. It wants to show that there's still enemies out there that can outclass you. You encounter Jehuti's nemesis, Anubis. Jehuti and Anubis are two sides of the same coin, orbital frames that should have equal power, but that's not the case, at least not right away. The controller pulsates, music fades in and out in a strange, ethereal pattern, and Jehuti seems to shy away and shudder at the presence of Anubis in some strange, scientific cascade event. And when you fight Anubis, you stand no chance. This is one of 2 times you fight Anubis before the final battle of the game, and even if you can get in close and get in a couple of hits, it's not going to matter. Anubis is just too fast, too powerful, and really, there's not much you can do. I'm not a fan of unwinnable boss fights very often, but in this case, it makes the final encounter with Anubis something incredibly special. You've been outclassed up until this point. You've even upgraded Jehuti once and still haven't been able to stand up to Anubis. Now, it's just you and Anubis. And the game does something I think very interesting. It takes away all the crazy sub-weapons that you've gotten up until this point, various plasma cannons, mines, missiles, decoy abilities, and it leaves you with 2 things: your melee attack ability and an ability called Zero Shift, which is a teleport ability that brings you right into the face of Anubis. It's a frantic, crazed, and absolutely wonderful fight that relies on fundamental basic maneuvers that you've learned throughout the game in order to create something exciting and special. You don't need many special weapons, you don't need any, really. All you need is the will to get right in the face of your enemy and show them that you are not going to stand down. All of this happens while you're fighting in a sort of astral warp gate going between Mars and Deimos. It's this amazing set piece that is really beautiful to behold, but the beauty is actually in the elegance of the interactions that are occurring. Sure, you can stand here and watch this footage and be wowed at what's going on, but really, what's going on is incredibly simple. I'm dashing towards my opponent and I'm using my sort of giant robot sword. But that elegance and simplicity makes for a boss encounter that isn't overly complicated and is actually training you for the next boss encounter. This is only part 1 of the Anubis fight. When you finally get that last hit, it feels incredible. You've used the basics of the game to really assert yourself. But then the game shows you that you have even greater ability. Jehuti is finally fully upgraded after this fight, and to show off just how powerful you are and how powerful Anubis is, it allows you to fight a couple of waves of normal enemies. You rush in, you attack an enemy, and you take them out in 1 hit. You have access to some of your ranged abilities now, and they are similarly as powerful. It does a great job of showing you just how far you've come from the beginning of the game. You're not piloting some small little mining robot, you're piloting a robot that is completely unstoppable. And so when you get to that final encounter with Anubis, you know, it's finally equal footing. And that last fight with Anubis is something amazing. Not just in the visual department again, although we really have to stress that everything that's happening in Zone of the Enders 2 is a spectacle to behold. And you would think that maybe you're just being taken in by the spectacle. In fact, scale and sort of really exciting presentation is a great way to make a final boss fight seem important and exciting. It works here, but that's not the only thing that's working. We've taken all of those basic moves that we've learned at the beginning of the game, and the game has only offered one small remix. the addition of some ranged abilities. But this addition makes the boss feel different. Not entirely, undecipherable. In fact, it's very simple, again. But the small addition of ranged abilities allows for certain interactions that you didn't have before. Anubis's ranged abilities are even more dangerous, and you can attack those sort of energy beams with your own, and they clash in a big explosion. So you're not able to really dodge. You have to attack. You have to fight back. Anubis can enter into this shielded phase, like you see right here, where it will recover health. You don't have this ability. You have to keep on pressing the attack. If you're not careful, Anubis will get back a lot of its health. But as you can see, if you have an understanding of the basic movement scheme that the game taught you during the initial Anubis fight, you're actually able to whittle down its health very easily. It's a fairly smart approach to a boss encounter. There's not crazy gimmicks, it's very simple interactions. You can still get hit, you can still sort of stumble from time to time. You can see that in this encounter, we went from a yellow caution health bar to Anubis to a sort of 75% state. But once again, if you go back in and you watch your maneuvering, you're able to really just chip down that health again. This is one of the strengths of a final boss encounter. I don't think boss encounters are great if they just feel big, they need to feel approachable. The scale here is important, it makes the encounter feel historic or meaningful, and indeed the entire fate of the solar system hinges on your victory here. But really, the story in Zone of the Enders 2 isn't great, the translation isn't great. What's really great is this encounter. It's simple. It understands that in order to be something effective, it just needs to give the player a certain degree of freedom. It needs to allow them to have elegant modes of interaction. Simple ways to approach a space, but to sort of remix the ways that they are used in order to make them more valuable. We've been slashing and attacking with these abilities throughout the entire game, but now, with refined use of them, we're able to stand up against the enemy that made us feel completely powerless. It's really a nice juxtaposition to have simple attacks that whittle down what was the most dangerous enemy of the game. And when you finally finish the battle, you get to face off against your foe in one last act. And that act is just getting in that final blow. You charge up, take your swing, and bam! Goodbye, Anubis. By the end of it all, it's just you, the remains of your foe, and the satisfaction of knowing that you've used your skills to overcome a very difficult boss. And that, my friends, is how it's done.